This video is brought to you by Miniature Market. Thousands of board games, discounted prices, miniaturemarket.com.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here, and today it's all about the words. Because we're on a team trying to get our teammates to guess a specific word. But the other team is going to be setting traps for us, trying to stop us from getting that word said. Today we're going to be taking a look at an upcoming party game from Czech Games Edition, CGE. It's going to be releasing at Essen called Trapwords. So I'm going to show you how it works. This is a prototype, so I'm doing sort of a sneak peek mini review because these are not the final art or components, and there's some things I think will change before it actually does come out a little bit. So let me show you how it works, what it looks like, and I'll see you on the other side. Now what you're looking at here is a prototype of Trapwords. So all the art and components that you see are not final, and you'll want to keep that in your mind as we're going through this, because anything here is subject to change before this game comes out, and it's slated to come out, I believe, around Essen. Now this is a team game, so there'll be two different teams, and the object of the game is to have your team make it all the way to the monster and defeat the monster. Well, how do you do that? You're going to be doing that by correctly guessing words that your clue giver is trying to give. Now each team will secretly get one of these books, and they will secretly get a card that they'll put in that only their team will be able to see this word. So for example, this player will get this. Now notice that these have all sorts of different words on them, upside down, right side up, they go different ways. It's really clever the way this works, because with the white books, you're playing with generalized words. But even if you take this same card and you put it into one of these red books, you actually end up getting some sort of fantasy word. So in this case we have trail, or maybe you have dagger. So you could play fantasy with the red books or standard with the white books. But let's say both teams would get these. Now again, only each team would see one of these, so you'd only be looking at one of these. I'm kind of just showing you what it would look like when both teams had these. So let's pretend that we are one of the teams. So the team would get this, the whole team would get to look at this. This is the word that the other team is going to try to guess. And that team is going to be both giving clues for this and trying to guess this. Now each team is going to get one of these sheets, and it's sort of a way to count the rounds in the game, but it's also we're going to write the trap words. You're trying to write words that you think the other team's clue giver might use when trying to describe this. Because if they say any of your trap words, you've stopped them and their round has ended. They've hit your trap. Now the interesting thing is the amount of trap words that you get to write depends on where there are on the tiles. Now there's all different ways you can lay these tiles out. This is the basic game. There's more tiles in the game. You can use the different numbers. You can use different layouts. We have 3 trap words we can write at the beginning, but as you move forward, it's going to get harder. For example, let's say this player is already way up here. We could write 6 trap words there. So what would happen is the two teams would split up. It's best to split up into different rooms. And so our team, let's say this is us, we're going to be giving this word to the other team. They're going to be trying to give clues and guess it. And we're trying to write the words that we think they're going to use. So we write as many words down as we can. We sort of brainstorm, and then we circle the ones that we're going to use for our trap words. Again, normally at the beginning of the game, you'd only be using 3, but in this case, in our game, we were using 6 because they were a little further in the dungeon. So we had said hang, as in like hang 10. We said modem, because the Motorola modem is called the surfboard. We said water, ocean, skate, because maybe they're going to talk about skating, standing on a plank. How about dude, beach, transportation, wave, California, shark, wax. We thought of all these things, and we finally circled and went with hang, dude, wave, California, plank, and skate. Now when one team is ready, they can say, you know what, we're done. Then they flip this over, and then the other team has that much time to finish up their trap words. And then this is secretly given to the single clue giver on the other team, and then we flip the timer over, and then they are the only ones that are seeing this from that team, and they're trying to get anyone from their team to say surfboard, and they cannot say sounds like, rhymes like, can't say starts with S, they can't do any charades, they can't make any noises, and they can't say any of these words. But the trick is they don't know what these words are because we secretly wrote them. So they're trying to really creatively say this. When we played this the other night, someone started saying things like they're near starfish and this and that. They started making all these other things and trying to step lightly around what they think we may have wrote. So you're trying to be creative in the way of describing. Now, if the other team says this and they get it right, they get to move forward in the dungeon. If they don't get it right by the timer ends, or if they step on one of our trap words, they don't. Now, once that's finished, then it will be our team's turn. Same thing will happen. They will hand us a word. Our single clue giver will be the only one to look at this, and they'll have this much time to try to get the rest of the team to say this. And of course, that other team would have different trap words that we can't say. That's basically how the game works. Now, if you get it right, you move up. If you don't, you stay put. And even if you step in a trap, you stay put. Now, if nobody gets it right, the monster moves forward, and that's just it's sort of a clock for the game, because anytime any team is on with the monster and they get it right, then they win, unless both teams have gotten it right, and then you keep playing until either one team gets it right and one team doesn't, or at the end of the 8th round. Now, to add some spice to an advanced game, you can add a curse card to the middle tile. When a player or your team is on that tile, it gets flipped over, and for that entire round, anybody on that tile has to have this curse. For example, the clue giver cannot use words starting with S, or your clue giver can only use nouns, or your whole team plays with their eyes shut, or your clue giver must say everything with one breath, or the opposing team marks one of their traps with a dot, and if that trap catches you, the catching team advances one room. So different things like that. There's also, once per game at the beginning, you can put a ability to the monster, and those monster abilities do different things, like even the followers activate traps. So anybody guessing, if they guess one of the trap words, it gets triggered. Or your clue giver can only say 5 words when giving clues. Or +2 to the room number in which your team encounters the boss. So it's more traps, makes it harder. If you're playing with 6 or plus, every guesser is petrified after hers or her unsuccessful guess. So each player can basically guess once. And then here your team only has one guess. So all different things like that to spice this up. Again, whoever defeats the monster first wins, or at the end of the 8th round. At that point, then you can either just tie or you can keep playing sudden death. All right, well, there's Trapwords. As I mentioned in the intro, this is just gonna be sort of a mini review because it's not final, the art, the components, things like that. So I'm just basing it on the gameplay that I've played with this. I love the simple rules. It's like, yep, I got this word, I'm gonna get you to say it. You guys are trying to guess what I'm gonna say. Pretty much done. I mean, easy. Anybody can play the game. I've played this with lots of different groups, gamer groups and non-gamer groups. It's gone over excellent with both groups. It's essentially Taboo with more depth. Taboo is a very popular party game I've played all my childhood, even into the adulthood, where you're trying to get your team to say the word, but there's 5 words you can't say that are already on a card. This just takes that to an infinitely more depth, where the other team is trying to think of what you're going to say. And that really is just so clever that you're trying to figure it out as you watch people and as you put words. Like, you get to the point where, okay, well the word is, snowflake, and which words will they say? Let's say, okay, fall, precipitation, stuff like that, because you start to be like, okay, let's use some of the more creative words that they're probably going to use. They might think that you're going to do that, so they can actually go for some of the more obvious words. They can bluff and double bluff a little bit. Or, we did that the other night, and the player, instead of saying precipitation or fall, he said descends. And we're like, oh man, I thought he was going to say fall, but he said descend, and it kind of got them to where they wanted to go. It's just so clever trying to outthink and outfox the other player, especially once you play with the same group. If you've gone a few times and you start to think how these people think, it's absolutely fantastic. I love you can use it fantasy words or the general words. CGE, everything they do, they have such great attention to detail. They could have easily have just made a fantasy deck and a general deck. But no, they made these cool cards that have words all over them facing in different directions, and you put them in this book, and depending on which book you use, it's going to show you one of those 2 words. Again, it's a little detail. It might not mean a lot to a lot of people, but the attention and detail they have is just amazing, and that shows it. I love the arc to the game, meaning the closer you get to the monster, the more trap words the other players get to give you, which makes it even harder. So it starts off a little easier, then gets harder and harder and harder, and I like that. I like that the monster approaches if no one succeeds, because it kind of shortens the game, make sure it doesn't go too long. The monster abilities are cool. The curses are cool. Hey, do it with your eyes closed. Hey, you only get 1 guess. Hey, you got to do it in 1 breath. Cool ways to twist that up. And so that's, custom setups. You can put the different, you can put as many tiles as you want. You can use different numbers. And those advanced, harder rules are the ones that we typically play with, where you have to set the timer right away, use all the curses and stuff. I like that there's advanced rules there as well. So any negatives about this? I'd say, for one, you're going to want a lot of room, because it definitely is easier played if you can move to a different room. Meaning, when the players write the trap words, it's really hard to do it on a team based, sitting at the same table, whispering to each other, writing things down. It's a lot easier to just move into another room, and then when someone's ready, they yell it out, they start the timer, and then the other players have that much time to finish their trap words. So it's a lot easier to go into a different room, but not all people and all places and spaces are set up to do that. So a little negative there, but definitely, I highly recommend you go into different rooms because that's going to make it a lot better. Also, I feel like even with 8 rounds, a game like this tends to go a little too long. I think about 6 rounds is about perfect. Now, sometimes the game's over in 6 rounds and it's fine, but it can go a little 45 minutes or a little bit longer, sometimes depending on how long it takes for people to put the trap words together, which in my opinion is the most fun part of the game. But it can run a little long, but again, you can do a setup. You can just take one of the tiles out, make it shorter. No big deal there. So overall, I'm very, very impressed with this game. I mean, CGE's obviously smash it with codenames, and they're continuing to prove that they know how to do party games right. And it seems so simple. It's like, hey, it's Taboo with a twist. Yes, it is just Taboo with a twist. But that one twist makes it so infinitely more engaging, interesting, replayable. It's just, it blows, you wouldn't think one little twist could take a game that's a good party game into something that's like, wow, my brain loves this. And everyone we've played this with has absolutely loved the game. So that's it. I cannot wait for the full game to come out so I can do a full review on the components, the things like that, and then let you know what my final thoughts and ratings are. But this has been the Game Boy Geek, helping you find and enjoy the next board game you'll love.
This video was sponsored by Miniature Market's Review Corner. The Review Corner features podcasts, video, and written game reviews by gamers for gamers. Miniature Market, the online gaming superstore. Thousands of board games, discounted prices. Check them out at miniaturemarket.com.